The moment news broke that Carrie Underwood had filed an $800 million lawsuit, the entertainment world stopped in its tracks. What was once treated as a controversial performance has now spiraled into one of the most shocking legal battles in daytime television history. And here's the twist: those who once mocked her, dismissed her, and even attacked her on live TV are no longer laughing. They're pleading. The View, a show built on sharp opinions and heated debates, suddenly finds itself trapped in a storm of its own making. And now, the very hosts who launched some of the most brutal words at Carrie are desperately trying to walk everything back before it destroys them completely. It all began with what seemed like a patriotic moment. Carrie Underwood, one of country music's most beloved voices, stood before the world at Donald Trump's inauguration and sang "America the Beautiful."
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Her performance was elegant, heartfelt, and true to her reputation as a performer who brings grace to every stage she steps on. The notes echoed across the crowd, accompanied by applause and patriotic pride. For a moment, it was simply music, tradition, and unity. But the fallout that came afterward was anything but harmonious. Almost instantly, social media lit up. To some, Carrie's decision to sing at the inauguration was an inspiring display of patriotism. To others, it was an unforgivable act that linked her to a deeply polarizing figure. And while the online reaction was divided, the commentary from the hosts of The View wasn't just critical, it was vicious. They accused her of normalizing a convicted felon, undermining democracy, and betraying her values. It wasn't presented as lighthearted banter or mild critique. It was a full-scale takedown, live on air, that painted Carrie not as a performer, but as a symbol of political betrayal. But unlike so many celebrities who fire back with angry tweets or give defensive interviews, Carrie Underwood chose a different path. She went to court. Her response wasn't emotional, it was legal. With an $800 million defamation lawsuit, Carrie sent a message that she wasn't going to allow her name, her reputation, or her career to be used as a punching bag for ratings. Suddenly, ABC and The View weren't just facing angry fans, they were facing a lawsuit with enough weight to shake the foundations of daytime television. And now, the very same hosts who once tore her apart are scrambling. Reports suggest that Joy Behar, a woman known for her razor-sharp tongue and unapologetic attacks, has been shaken like never before. Sunny Hostin, who once doubled down on her criticism, is reportedly in panic mode, realizing that this isn't just about harsh words. This lawsuit could bring financial ruin, career-ending consequences, and permanent damage to reputations that have taken decades to build. Carrie's performance itself was never intended as a political statement. In fact, she made that clear in her own words. She told the press, "I love our country, and I'm honored to have been asked to sing at the inauguration and to be a small part of this historic event."
Carrie Underwood will take the stage at Trump's inauguration singing "America the Beautiful." She said to the Post, "I love our country and I'm honored to have been asked to sing at the inauguration and to be a small part of this historic event. I am humbled to answer the call at a time when we must all come together in the spirit of unity and looking to the future."
I am humbled to answer the call at a time when we must all come together in the spirit of unity and looking to the future. But instead of being recognized for her patriotism, she was branded as a supporter of an ideology she never explicitly endorsed. For some on the left, her mere presence at the event was enough to accuse her of aligning with MAGA.
That wasn't good enough for the tolerant left, of course, who is outraged over Carrie being outed as MAGA.
And while online critics tried to cancel her, mocking her with jokes about her famous song, Before He Cheats, or calling for boycotts of her music, others quickly came to her defense.
X is blowing up with jokes about how she should sing her hit song Before He Cheats. Some are calling for her to be boycotted and canceled.
Country star John Rich blasted fellow artists for staying silent, saying, "Carrie Underwood is making you look like a bunch of boys." He praised her courage, her class, and her talent, calling her everything the so-called tolerant left was not.
John Rich weighed in, saying there are several top-tier country artists who support Trump, and I wish they'd finally have the balls to come forward and be counted. Ain't nothing outlaw about keeping your mouth shut to appease the record label. Carrie Underwood is making you look like a bunch of sissy boys. Carrie is talented, she is graceful, she is a class act, she has great legs, not that it matters, but she is everything that the tolerant left is not.
As the storm escalated, the pressure on The View only grew worse. Behind the scenes, ABC executives were reportedly in meltdown mode. Legal teams urged the hosts to consider public apologies, scripted statements, and even on-air groveling. Producers considered scrubbing the internet of certain clips, fearful that every word might become evidence in court. And in a rare move, even Whoopi Goldberg, often the loudest voice at the table, chose silence, not wanting to be dragged deeper into the mess. Meanwhile, Carrie's legal team was building their case word by word, replaying every insult, every accusation, and every moment of commentary that crossed the line.
I think people feel pretty strongly about it. I think art is art, and you have a right to perform where you want to perform. I agree with you, Joy. I can't sing a lick, but I certainly, and I have not been asked, but if I were asked, it would be a hard no.
They argued that this wasn't just free speech, it was a targeted smear campaign meant to destroy her reputation. Endorsements were lost, opportunities canceled, and the media storm that followed painted Carrie in a light she never asked for. According to the lawsuit, this wasn't opinion, it was malicious defamation. While the legal case gained momentum, fans rallied behind Carrie in ways that even her critics couldn't ignore. Hashtags like #JusticeForCarrie and #CancelTheView flooded social platforms. Loyal viewers who had watched The View for years began to turn against it, saying critique was fine but personal attacks had crossed a line. Memes poured in, mocking the hosts and celebrating Carrie's silence as the ultimate act of power. In one viral image, Carrie sipped tea calmly while Joy Behar panicked in the background with the caption, "Who's laughing now?"
No, I wouldn't do it, even though I can't sing.
You would not sing?
No, I would not. I would not normalize him. And she says, I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon.
The stakes grew even higher as analysts warned that if Carrie won, it wouldn't just be a victory for her, it could change the rules of daytime television forever. Hosts across the industry would have to think twice before unleashing personal attacks. What was once dismissed as just commentary would carry legal consequences. And ABC knew the ripple effect could reach beyond this one lawsuit. If Carrie succeeded, what would stop other celebrities from suing over past segments where their reputations had been dragged through the mud? Even longtime defenders of the show admitted that this case blurred the line between opinion and cruelty. Sunny Hostin's biting remarks in particular have drawn the most fire, with critics flipping her own words against her. She claimed you can't love your country while supporting someone she deemed dangerous, but now fans are asking, can you claim to support women while tearing one down simply for singing? The hypocrisy has become the centerpiece of public outrage, and even those who once admired Sunny are demanding accountability. At this point, it's not just legal, it's personal.
Country superstar Carrie Underwood has spent most of her career avoiding political talk, but she's set to perform at the upcoming inauguration. She said in a statement that she's doing it because the country must come together in the spirit of unity and look to the future. And lots of her fans aren't thrilled about it, but lots of her fans are. So let's put this in perspective here. What do y'all think?
I personally hope we're moving beyond the era of politics where we want to cancel people's livelihoods because we don't like their politics. And whether it was the Dixie Chicks for criticizing George Bush, didn't agree with it then, and Carrie Underwood, if you have a problem, you register your complaint by not downloading her songs and not going to her shows.
Right.
But I also think from a business standpoint, it's not a bad decision for Carrie Underwood. 75 million people voted for Trump. Artists tend to skew left-leaning, so she's overnight going to become an icon of MAGA and the American right. She's probably going to make a lot of money off of it. So I get why she did it.
The hosts' reputations are unraveling in real time, with whispers growing louder about Joy and Sunny being asked to step aside. ABC executives are said to be holding daily meetings, frantically discussing damage control strategies. Some insiders believe the network may already be drafting replacement options for its most controversial faces. And while all this chaos unfolds, Carrie remains silent, composed, and unwavering. Her silence, in fact, has become her most powerful statement. By refusing to get into the mud with her critics, she's transformed into a symbol of strength, turning this lawsuit into something bigger than herself. She's no longer just a country superstar with a golden voice. She's a warrior of accountability, standing against a media culture that too often confuses cruelty with commentary. Legal experts agree that the case is shaping up to be one of the most significant media lawsuits in years. If Carrie proves her point in court, it could open the floodgates for countless other public figures who felt unfairly targeted. Talk shows everywhere would be forced to pull back to balance critique with responsibility.
I have no nothing to say.
We're not asking any of us.
No, you do what you do. Listen, it's like, people do what they do for whatever reasons. It's like Joe and Mika.
It would be nothing short of a cultural shift. Inside ABC, the atmosphere is reportedly toxic. Staffers describe working on eggshells, fearful that every word spoken in the studio could become part of the next lawsuit. Some claim Joy has appeared visibly shaken on air, fumbling her lines and avoiding direct eye contact. Sunny is said to be distant, arriving late, leaving early, and avoiding all unnecessary interactions. The fear is palpable. And yet, Carrie remains untouched by the chaos. She continues with her career, her life, and her family, letting the lawsuit speak for her. Friends say she never wanted this fight, but once pushed into it, she refused to back down. She understands what's at stake, not just for herself, but for every artist, performer, and public figure who could be subject to the same treatment. This is no longer just about one singer and one talk show. It's about the entire culture of media accountability. Carrie has flipped the script, turning what was once supposed to be her downfall into the very thing that could topple her critics. With every headline, every fan post, and every legal update, her position only grows stronger. And now, the big questions remain. Will The View survive this storm? Will Joy and Sunny be forced to apologize publicly or even resign? Will ABC sacrifice its hosts to protect the brand, or will they double down and fight to the bitter end? Insiders whisper that an apology may be on the way, but Carrie's side has already made it clear. No half measures, no insincere statements, and no quiet settlements will do. The next weeks could make or break not only The View, but the very fabric of daytime television. And as for Carrie Underwood, she didn't just sing at an inauguration. She may have sung the final note of The View's untouchable legacy. She's changed the game, not with shouting or retaliation, but with silence, dignity, and the undeniable weight of truth. And that's why, no matter how this ends, Carrie has already won something far more important than money. She's won the respect of millions who now see her not only as a performer, but as a fighter. And in the end, that just might be the legacy that lasts far beyond this lawsuit.